Alright, so you've probably heard this term thrown around on internet forums or at your local car meet KDM. It gets tossed into conversations right alongside JDM for Japanese cars and EDM for European cars. But what does it actually mean? Well, it's pretty simple, really. KDM stands for Korean Domestic Market. This means we're talking about cars from South Korea, designed and built primarily by Korean manufacturers. These aren't just niche vehicles anymore, they are mainstream players that you see every single day on your commute. The big names you need to know in the KDM world are Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. Hyundai actually owns a huge chunk of Kia, and Genesis is Hyundai's luxury brand. When people talk about KDM, they're usually referring to cars from these three major brands. To really understand KDM cars, you have to look at where they came from. The history of the Korean auto industry really kicked off in the 1970s. Hyundai produced its first mass-market car, the Pony, in 1975. It was basic, it was inexpensive, and it was designed to get a newly industrializing nation on wheels. When these cars, like the Hyundai Excel, first started arriving in the United States in the 1980s, their main selling point was one thing and one thing only: price. They were unbelievably cheap. You could get a brand new car for the price of a used car from another brand. However, this focus on being the cheapest option came with a major trade-off. The quality, reliability, and refinement were not on par with Japanese brands. This early period is really where the negative reputation for KDM cars was born. The cars were often plagued with issues, from rust problems to mechanical failures. So let's talk about the big myth, the elephant in the room that has followed these brands for years. The myth is simple and brutal. KDM cars are unreliable. The story goes that while they might look flashy and come with a lot of features for the money, they are poorly built and will inevitably leave you stranded. This belief is so pervasive because it was once rooted in truth. The first waves of Hyundai and Kia vehicles that landed on our shores were frankly not very good. They were built to a price point, and that meant cutting corners on material quality, engineering, and long-term durability. The myth is also fueled by brand snobbery. For a long time, the automotive hierarchy was very clear. You had the Germans for luxury, the Japanese for reliability, and the Americans for trucks. There wasn't really a space for the Koreans. People who spent more on a Toyota or Honda needed to justify their purchase, and an easy way to do that was by looking down on the cheaper alternative. So what happened? How did Hyundai and Kia go from being the butt of jokes to the top of the reliability charts? One of the most important moves they made was the introduction of their industry-leading warranty. This was a massive gamble. It was a public declaration that they were so confident in their newfound quality that they were willing to bet the entire company on it. The next major step was a massive investment in research and development. Hyundai and Kia started poaching top-tier talent from other automakers. They hired Peter Schreier, the designer behind the iconic Audi TT, and Albert Biermann from BMW's M division. This led to genuinely fun-to-drive vehicles like the Kia Stinger. They also poured billions into building state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities around the world. By controlling every step of the manufacturing process, with obsessive attention to detail, they were able to drastically reduce defects. They adopted the same philosophies of continuous improvement that had allowed Japanese automakers to dominate, and they applied them with incredible speed and focus. Alright, so how do modern KDM cars actually stack up when you look at the real data? Let's look at major third-party reliability studies like those from J.D. Power and Consumer Reports. If you look at the results from the last 5 to 10 years, you'll see a dramatic shift. Brands like Genesis, Kia, and Hyundai have been consistently climbing the ranks, often placing in the top 10. Consider the compact SUV segment. Here you have the Kia Sportage and Hyundai Tucson going up against titans like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V. A decade ago, telling someone to choose the Kia or Hyundai over the Toyota or Honda for reliability would have gotten you laughed out of the room. Today, it's a completely legitimate argument. In recent years, Kia has often been ranked as the #1 brand among all mass-market automakers for overall dependability. Think about that. The brand that was once a punchline for unreliability is now a benchmark for it. So after all of that, let's answer the big question. Are KDM cars really that unreliable? The answer, in 2025, is a clear and resounding no. The idea that cars from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis are fundamentally unreliable is an outdated myth based on the realities of the 80s and 90s, not the realities of today. The truth is that modern KDM cars are among the most reliable vehicles you can buy today. This isn't just an opinion, it's a fact supported by overwhelming data from independent sources. When you combine this proven reliability with their bold designs, advanced technology, competitive pricing, and that incredible 10-year warranty, you get one of the most compelling value propositions in the automotive market. So, the final verdict is this: if you're in the market for a new car, you should absolutely have Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis on your shopping list. Dismissing them because of an old expired reputation would be a huge mistake. The KDM brands have not only caught up to the competition, in many ways, they have surpassed them. The myth is officially busted. The game has completely changed.